Morning, Rob.
Good morning. Sound check. Can you hear me?
You're
Yep.
good, Rob.
All right. So this morning, I want to talk about how we can grow our teams better. And I know Chopper, you had one guy take off and you had one real knucklehead. So you're better off for where you are. But I want to talk about how do we more strategically and predictably hire people. And what my coach is training us. I don't know, Bobby, you were on, and Beth, you were on those coaching calls where we go through the gap and the value proposition, right?
Yeah, they're awesome.
And what do you think about doing that for, getting the team leaders to be able to do that same concept um,
Yes.
for uh, for growing their teams? I'm just having a little technical trouble here with pinning people, but so Beth, why don't you just or Patrick, share what your thoughts are about like the value prop and the business case and the gap.
Well, it's hard to recruit an agent if they don't. Let me back up. I've been in sales a long time. A basic rule in sales, and it is holds true for recruiting. You will not be successful if you can't find a problem that someone is having that you can solve with your products and services. So in the case of recruiting, you've got to find something that they're lacking or some kind of a gap or something that they are not getting where they currently are. And we all know how you do that. You listen and talk and so forth. Then once you're able to determine a few of those areas, then Wayne has developed this business plan that makes it really easy that you put these numbers in, and it spits out a lovely report that shows if they were to oh, and it also has all our comp plans preloaded, which is fantastic. And that even if they have a cap and so forth, it has all that preloaded. And then bada bing, bada boom, a report spits out that shows if they were to join us, uh, kind of the lifetime value of that. And he calls it I think, contribution toward retirement. But it's usually a pretty big number, like 800,000 to $1 million.
Right. And what it starts with, Beth, is it starts with, hey, if you were to be part of a national brand, do you think you might get any extra business because people recognize it? Being around people that are producing at a high level, how much extra would that amount to you? If we had some tools to save you time, how much could that save you? And what it does is it comes up with an annualized number based upon the questions that we ask a candidate, not what we're telling them, right? If I come out there with this beautiful slick here, Beth, you're going to be like, no, that's all BS, right? It's not really for me. But
Yeah, I
if you
already have that at my brokerage. That's what they'll say. Oh,
correct.
I have that. I have that. I have that.
But if we go there and we, ask questions and, I'm looking at everybody here, you have so much to offer people if they were to consider coming on your team. Okay. It's just a matter of, we fumble with being able to articulate with specificity the benefits of joining Beth in celebration, joining um, Patrick and Chopper, joining Lynn Schmitz, joining Bobby Golden and his team, right? We don't have joining Vandella, Mike Gopi, everybody. If we were able to give you with specificity what the benefit of joining was, who needs to have that down pat first? Who needs
Us.
that? Yeah, we do, right? We need to be able to ask the questions and we need to be able to present it. And I'm going through, we probably have spent, did I see a donut pop on?
Yes, good morning.
We probably spent about the last 3 or 4 leadership meetings that we had with Wayne going over the um, the gap, which is identifying the opportunity, and then creating the business case to show somebody what the benefit is from tomorrow when they join up until retirement.
I'll even say this, Rob, and I'll, be vulnerable here. I've had a lot of meetings with agents. They like me, they like us, they like the brand, they like the office, they love Amanda, they are interested in joining, and they're going to think about it. So I think if I'm giving myself feedback, I have not made it compelling for them to take the step, because changing brokerages is a big decision and it's hard and nobody wants to do it. It's a lot easier to stay where you are, and even if it's not perfect, it's easier to stay where you are. You already have your business cards, you have your signs, you got your routines. So you've got to make it painful almost for them in a good way, but it's got to be that it's compelling to make the decision. And I feel like I haven't, I mean, I've recruited some agents, but I haven't made it compelling enough for certain. So what I'm doing now is I'm taking my list and I'm circling back and as a follow-up to see if I can get them to come in and go through the business case with them. That's my goal for the next couple of weeks.
Now, Beth, have you been handing them the printout of the business case? And if you have or haven't, I don't think that's going to be the thing that completely seals it. But have you been doing that or not recently?
I have not Wayne's.
Okay.
I mean, what I've done in the past, I have part of my shtick is I say I can help you get at least 5 additional deals to what you're already doing. And I show them how we do that. And I do quantify that, and I write it down on a piece of paper, and show them what that would mean in commission and so forth.
So Beth, let me
But
just
it's
dig
not as good as Wayne's. It doesn't hit it home as hard as his does.
Beth, let me uh go a little bit deeper on that. So you said that you explained to them. How do you approach that?
I have a PowerPoint, and I think I might have shown it to you, but we had developed the circle of success, and I show all the ways that we're going to help them develop business,
Okay.
their sphere. And then we talk about KV Core or Bold Trail, uh,
So,
uh, walk-in business, referrals, so forth.
Beth, are these are these new agents or seasoned agents that you're
Oh,
interviewing?
this would be more a seasoned agent. A new agent, you have to have a little different conversation.
So if
so
you get a seasoned agent, what do they expect to get like 85%, 75 or 90%. How do you deal with their commission splits?
so
Well, we're gonna be able to offer a competitive split to that.
and Ron, before we go there, I want to just talk to something that Beth said. You have the PowerPoint that you created, right?
And
And
yeah, and then
and then
I have some proof points in there. We have some proof points of walk-in business. We have some proof points
now
of
now now
referrals and so forth.
now how do you broach? I just want to pick one segment because I want to see if I can maybe help. So
Yeah.
when you're interviewing me and you're going to try to highlight the fact that you have walk-ins, can you go through and role play that with me? So I'm that agent that Ron says, hey, you know what, Beth, I'm at United. I get 100%. I pay $600 a transaction and $50 a month. Like, why would I want to make the move? And you go,
Well, that's awesome. Then why the heck are you here? No, that's not exactly what I say. Kind of though, as I try to find out why, you know, what's lacking with them. Um, I mean, I don't think most agents meet with us because they think they're getting walk-in business.
right, but how would you tie that walk-in piece or any of the value props to the appointment?
Um, well, we mentioned the walk-in piece as soon as, if they're in celebration, as soon as they come, and we give them the little tour around the office. And then we point out the desk and, and the walk-in. Then when we're sitting down and we go through the different elements of how they're going to develop additional business, I mean, I have to talk to them first, but all agents should want to do walk-in business. But I give them examples. I give them concrete examples, and usually with a story. I think that's more compelling as I talk about, hey, we just had an agent last week that someone walked in, they were on vacation. They thought they were going to rent, and our agent on duty, showed them that for what they were going to pay in rent, they could buy something, and they took them over to DR Horton, and, they sold them a house. I mean, whatever the story is, that story I just said is true multi times over. So
So,
I
so
pick
what,
two or three stories to tell them that prove that the walk-in business. And the other thing is, when someone walks into the office with that Remax sign, it's different than an open house. An open house, someone's coming in, they may be interested, they may not, they may just be curious. But if someone walks in to the office, they want something, and they're likely to take action. Even if even if they think that when they walk in that the action is they would like to rent something, it's someone who has a housing need that is walking in, that wants to talk to someone to help them.
so Beth, this is going to be like a what would it be, like a mind dump here, because when I'm listening to you and how excited you are about it, I'm just putting myself in the mind of a recruit, right? And you're telling me about like walk-ins and this and that, and I don't know if I'm maybe putting you on the spot, or maybe this is a pivot we could do. But maybe if we were to go and say, hey, I know you did great. You made $80,000 last year, and you only paid the broker, $3,000. Fantastic. Let me ask you, a year from now, we're having a celebration dinner. Tell me, what have you accomplished, right?
Yeah, that's
And
good.
and and
That's from the Wayne. I like that a
right,
lot.
right. But and I'm saying this because I want it to be part of our process, right? So
Mhm.
a year from now, we're having a celebration dinner. Tell me, what did we accomplish, right? Sometimes it may not be specific. Well, let's start with, financially. Would you like to have more financial success, right? And obviously, most people would say yes. Hey, I'd love to make 150,000, and you made 80 last year. Fantastic. What else would success look like to you? Right? And you ask them questions, and then we kind of feed back to them how we can, add value. Many teams, you do weekly trainings, you have open houses, you have access, to some of the best professionals in the industry, right? You're having access to, Patrick, on a weekly or even a daily basis as needed. Would that be able to help you do, at least one extra transaction a quarter, right? And it's something that's reasonable. Yes. Okay. What's your average transaction size, Beth? 400,000. So that would be an extra $10,000 per quarter, $40,000. Now, do you ever go into the office and work? No, you don't. Okay. Is it possible that you could do some of your work from this office here in Celebration? If I ask you, Beth, how many walk-in sales did you have last year? Now, if you were to come in here 2 days a week, you were to get, 4 walk-ins a month. How many sales do you think you might have? Right? And usually
Mhm.
they overestimate it, right? And then you go through with that process
Yeah, I
of
like that.
asking
I like that a lot,
questions.
Rob.
Yep. So I think that's kind of like what Wayne is preaching us, and it's what I want to get out to all the team leaders, because honestly, I think, although team leaders, financially, you have to pay for your existence and make a profit, but you offer so much more than just the brokerage. So that would be the way that I would pivot on that discussion, Beth. Instead of saying, hey, we get walk-ins, ask them how many walk-ins did they have, and then break it down to, do you think you can come in twice a week for 4 hours and do the work you're already doing? and come into this office. And, our agents find that if they do that, they get at least, 2 walk-ins per month or whatever the numbers are. And if you had, 50 walk-ins, if you had 24 walk-ins a year, how many sales do you think you might be able to do, right? And let them tell you. And then you put it on the sheet. And almost like I queued it up, Adona's here. Maybe she could even show us like the sheet if you have it.
I do.
Yeah,
Would you?
I think that's good, Rob. And I think that's, I'm taking that feedback. I think it's excellent. And, I'm constantly working on less talking, more asking questions.
And Beth, the last thing that I learned from Wayne was never leave an appointment without a follow-up.
Right. I took that to heart when he said that.
Right. And Donna, we might have a Hoboken and a Tinton Falls manager because every time I had a conversation, right, it's always this wishy-washy, like, oh well, let me talk to my husband and get back
Yeah.
to you, right? I'm like, okay, when do you think you'd have time to have a meaningful conversation with Anthony and we can catch up again, right? And I'm always relentlessly saying, okay, so Tuesday, or you want to do it Thursday? Great. You want to do it before work, or you want to do it like in the early evening? And I'm putting it in there. I'm sending a calendar invite. It is annoying as you know what, but it works.
Yeah, I agree. And they try to weasel out, but yeah, I agree. You gotta stay on them.
Okay, so this is the and for teams, this is not a resource that we're going to provide, but we could easily recreate this by just building out a spreadsheet to show the value and hand out something showing you what your unique team is. Because the challenge is every team has a different value prop and a different cost structure. I mean, some teams like have you start out at 50, you go up to 90. Some teams are 60-40 the whole way. So we can build this out your way. Donna, your show.
Yes. Good morning, everyone. Just so you know, it might sound confusing. I have you on my cell phone, so hopefully you guys can all hear me. All right. So this is the platform that we use. If we were going to meet with an agent while we're having that conversation with the recruit, we want to gather this information to really help us see where they're going to be by joining Remax. So data elements right here, you put in the average of their commission, whether, depending on the area, you just ask them, what is your average commission? It could be 5,000, it could be 7,000. For this particular example, I put 15,000. Target number of transaction, this person, what they did, it was about 48 transactions. So you would put the total amount. And then here would be their total gross earnings based on the information they give you. Then you ask them how many working weeks per year do they work. So this particular agent was 48 weeks. Average work hours per week, 50. So if somebody's doing it part-time, full-time, you just ask them like how many hours a week do they actually work on real estate. And then years until retirement. So this person will have about an extra 20, another 20 years. So then you go to your gap analysis. Here are some of the questions that they do provide. You can actually add your own if you wish to. And then it's just gathering more information to know about them, where they get their business.
So everybody should take a picture of these questions here because like that was the one that, I kind of mentioned to Beth. If we were sitting in a restaurant 12 months from now having a celebration, what would have to happen both personally and professionally for us to be celebrating? Right? And that's the old Ford, family, occupation, recreation, and dreams, right? Anybody ever hear of Ford? Okay, so and I didn't, Beth, I didn't even do it justice because I forgot about the personal piece to it, right? Um, what would you say are the 2 or 3 biggest roadblocks? And Adona, thanks for sharing this.
Yes, so these are some of the questions. Let me know if you want me to go slower, if you guys are taking the picture.
Maybe go all the way to the bottom. They can take the second picture. There you go,
There you
right
go,
there.
this is the bottom.
When you say, what are your 3 or 4 sources of business? You know what most agents say?
What?
What does everybody else say? They say referrals. not like what we think of. We think more of referrals as from other Remax agents, but they think they say, you know,
Well,
Referrals from
referrals,
clients.
it could be referrals from clients.
that's
Not
what
that I
they
sell a
mean.
lot.
That's
Yeah,
what they mean when they say it. You know, if someone tells you that, you know their business is way down right now.
right.
And then you just have to ask questions to get them to say it.
Okay.
I'm
So,
gonna go next,
yep,
Rob.
go next.
So this is a current arrangement. This means they have to tell you what is their current arrangements. The 20% is what the company takes, not what they're getting. So whether they're on 60/40, 70/30, you put in what the company's collecting. If they have a cap, these are their fees. So this is if they have an annual fee. This kind of helps you as well where they're at. What fees are they paying? So this could be monthly, percentage, or transactional. For this particular example, they don't have a franchise fee, but if they did, you can put in a percentage and then 6%.
And I don't know that everybody's going to be having access to this tool
Yeah,
because we're going to need to set up all the different team plans. But what we can easily do is create a spreadsheet so that we can accomplish the same with given the uniqueness of each team leader's either their basic structure or maybe you have 3 or 4 plans that you offer. I'm just going to be just curious. Patrick, do you have more than one offering if I'm joining? If I'm an experienced agent, do I get the same as if I'm an $8 million producer, the same as a 3?
Right now, we have one offering for our team.
Okay. So yours is gonna be easier. I think Glenn, you have only one, right?
All right, I missed the
Maybe
question.
I said if I have a $15 million person joining your team versus a $3 million person, is the deal the same for both?
No.
Okay, so you have multiple structures, and we'll just ask one other, either Lynn Schmitz or Michael Gopi. Did you have just one plan that if somebody was joining your team, whether they did 3 million in the past 12 months or 15 million, or is it different?
Different plan.
Okay, you're different. And Lynn, maybe we lost Lynn. How about Vandella
I have two different thing right now, but
plans?
I'm only doing a mentorship.
Okay,
Um, so I have where I have a 6 deal structure for them, and then after that, there's an extended version of it. So I need resources for traditional team. That's what Tom and I discussed recently.
okay.
So the
So
traditional team. So I'm not at the traditional team. I've been a team by myself for a long time, but I only have that because I do the mentorship for the office. So I'm seeking resources to grow on a traditional team basis now. So this is all helpful for me, what you guys are,
okay,
going.
so Vandella, the story for you would just be that there would be 2 plans designed, right? And then you just plug the numbers in based upon what they give you. And
Right.
then, Adona, is there one that's completed? Because we're running out of time, just so you could show like what
yes, this
the
is
annual.
completed. Yep.
Okay,
So right here, you would have to ask them certain questions like, hey, if you were if you were able to produce an extra how many deals would you be able to produce if you had extra support, trainings, back office support? So they kind of tell you how many transactions they would think they would be able to close by having that extra help. So this kind of just tells them the annual benefit by joining Remax, right? With the extra benefits of either joining your team or just the brokerage itself. And then this is what it produces right here. So this is their annual benefit by joining Remax. Obviously, this particular example was really high in volume that I did, but if you were going to pick somebody that was 1 million, 2 million, this number would be lower. But this is now total benefit to retirement. This particular agent had 20 years left. By joining Remax, they would make an extra 5.8 million. And then this is the document that it does fill out. And this is what you would want to show them, right? So they can get at least an additional 8 transactions per year, total hours saved 240 hours. And then this is the yearly benefit by joining Remax, and this is until the retirement. Now, if somebody has an accounting background, as Wayne said, you would want to go into more details. But if they're not, then you would just confuse them. This also tells them what their split is, their cap, their annual fee, etc.
I mean, most agents I proclaim don't even know what their hourly rate is. They've never taken the time to figure out how many hours they work and what their gross income is to figure out what they're bringing in per hour. And no, this is obviously a very high producing agent. It's very much outside the norm. I think most of the ones that our leadership team has gone over, depending on how many years they have left, is between 400,000 and $2 million. And Wayne, I'm just borrowing from Wayne. Wayne would say, hey, if you had an extra $2 million at retirement, would that make a difference in the way that you retire? And what would you do differently? And these are really, great thought-provoking questions, and I don't see any reason why we should selfishly just keep this stuff to the managers, right? I mean, Beth, this is real firepower that team leaders can use if they just take a little bit of time to learn how to present it, right? And how to identify what the benefit of being on your team is.
Right. I also think if, and I don't know, what you think or Wayne, but it may not be in the first meeting, and it could be a very good tool for the follow-up meeting. If the first meeting, you're kind of as a discovery meeting, getting to know, building the relationship, and then the follow-up is, come back in, I'd like to present our offer to you, and I'd like to do a business case to show you what that's going to mean. I would think then it's almost like the second showing. If they come in that second time and you show them the business case, anyway, I haven't exactly done it that way, but I'm thinking of
Right.
doing it that way.
But I think, Beth, if we just focus on just keeping it simple and just asking the questions, like having these conversations, I think it's gonna 3x. Or if we're getting 1 out of 10 now, we'll get 3 out of 10 people that we're talking to just by being able to more clearly articulate the value proposition, right? And take it off of split. Because the first thing that Ron said is the thing that everybody, kind of hits us with is, hey, what's your split? Right. And as soon as you answer that, you're dead man, dead woman walking.
Yeah, I agree.
Right. But if you take
Yeah.
an interest and say, hey, what does success look like 12 months from now? Right. It shows that you're taking a little bit of a personal interest, and then you can kind of do the math backwards.
Yeah,
So,
I had an agent I interviewed over the weekend. She's a pretty good producer. She makes 85%, and she pays very little to the broker, just a 15%. But that was the first question she asked me. She says, "Well, how much? What's my split?" And as far as the training is concerned, she goes, "I've been in the business 25 years. I don't need training."
so you know what?
So
We have a $10+ million producer who a week ago Saturday called me up in the morning and said, "Hey Rob, I have a listing appointment later on this weekend, and I wanted to see if you could help me do one of those analyses that you've done, and also." The property has been vacant. They're a Chinese foreign national. They haven't been able to come back since COVID, and there's some damage, some musty smells. So I spent about 45 minutes with her, not only running through the numbers, but also using AI to figure out what would the adjustment be for a house that's not updated and smells musty, might have mold, right? And then I said, write a analysis that I can present to the homeowner to substantiate the adjustment in price, right? And we did all this in less than 45 minutes. my question to you is, I know you do way more than this for your team members. It's probably a daily thing. And we need to be asking them questions like, when was the last time that your team lead or broker, helped you procure a listing? When's the last time they helped you, bring together um, a buy side transaction? And Chopper, I'd bet that this is not in the tens, but it's probably north of 100, the amount of times that you called another the listing agent, and you helped a team member get an offer accepted because of your relationship in the industry for all these years.
Yeah, it helps, definitely.
Right, right. So and so is not calling back to me. I think I got a great offer, Chopper. It's not getting accepted. Bam, Chopper calls over there and finds out that, hey, you know what? You need to give us a $10,000 appraisal waiver and put another 5,000 down. We'll take your offer. Boom.
And a lot of times they want us because they know we'll get it done, with no drama.
Right. So my mission, Chopper, is to have Patrick be able to articulate that when he's talking to people to join your team, and be able to monetize and quantify that value. All right. I know we're over time already here, but as you can see, we're pretty passionate about this, and if they actually do what they say they're going to do, I mean, it's significant. I mean, it's 400 to $2 million for most of the people over their career.
And
So,
my new go-to line when I'm doing, so I've had a lot of agents that are 11 to $15 million producers.
uh-huh.
And whenever they're sitting, they'll always have that opinion. Like if they go to splits, then it's a limiting belief of mine. I move away from them. I'm looking at how to get off the call as they go to splits right out of the gate. Not my people. But when they go the other way and they tell me they've been in the business 30 years, I'll just stop the conversation and say, why are we having this discussion? And then I just shut up. And all of them are there for a reason. But I ask them, why are we having this discussion? Like, why are you meeting me? If you're doing so great on your own, why are we? And I don't say it that way. I say, why are we having this discussion? And you will be amazed at the type of things they've said.
And Glenn, I borrowed this line, but everybody's free to use it. Like, you have a great meeting, right? And somebody's at an 85% split and you offer them less, right? And they say, hey, it all sounds great, but can you match my split? What what do you say, Glenn?
I would say to them, I think we've talked about well, number one, I don't deviate from the new plan. So I would just say to them, hey, this is the way that our program works, the value that we provide, the things we've discussed over the last couple hours.
So what do you think about this one? Because I totally borrowed this, Glenn, so I'm not taking intellectual ownership. Hey, Glenn, I'm sorry, I can't match your split, but I know who can. Who? Your current broker. How's that working out for you?
Yep.
Right? I thought you were saying that he doesn't get back to you. She's never in the. But I mean, I just love that zinger of, hey, Glenn, I can't match it, but I know who can. Your current broker.
Yep.
So
You
anyway,
could, you could also ask, and I know this
I
is
like that
not what
one. That's a good one.
but you could say, if it's not unreasonable, you could just say, is that, sales 101, is that the only thing that's keeping you? If we can match your split, will you sign today?
I mean, it depends if you want to match the,
Right,
you know,
that's what I mean. If it's something we could do.
and Beth, I almost think that sometimes, like, if we cave like that, it's kind of like, well, what other things aren't really credible because you're willing to fold so easily, right? Hey, you know, if you're going to be doing all these things and you truly are as a team, because you deliver so much more service than we do as a brokerage.
Yeah.
And why would you want to discount it? And when you say, hey, if we match it, will you sign today? Kind of means you're kind of giving up on what you said. If you really can double their business, then I would just say no, right? And maybe the third time, if you're doing the dance and they're still not coming, say, hey, what do I need to do to get you to come? Um, and maybe it's a little different when you're in the chair of a broker manager as opposed to a team leader, Beth. But I think as a team leader, if we really believe in what we're doing, hey, this is where we are. Let's try to keep everybody consistent because, Glenn, it becomes a nightmare if you have 39 agents and you have 35 different special arrangements. It's unbearable.
Yeah.
I
And do you
agree.
have a model is the question, right? You're saying you have all these things to offer, but if you're willing to waver on that, do you really have a model?
No, I meant if I hadn't already, let's say I didn't already offer them something. I typically don't, I remember in Recruiting 101 when I went, Judy Ledour was teaching it. And she said, if they come back with the split question, you come back with, oh, so you're ready to join? Because typically we don't have a compensation discussion until we're talking about joining.
Yeah, there's lots of
That's pretty cool.
different ways to kind of spin that around. I know we're over time here, but if you want the sheet that Adona went over and we can kind of try to customize it, build it towards the team, I'm going to ask you to send Adona an email. Then Adona and I will do the first two of them together and see if we can make this an easy to replicate document so that the Glenn Baker, the Michael Gopi team can all say, hey, here's the value to being a team member, both annually and over the rest of your real estate career. All right. So thanks everybody. I appreciate you, and I hope to be able to roll this out to any of you that want to in the next couple of weeks.
Thanks, Rob.
Bye bye.
Thank you.
Adona,
Thank you,
thanks for
everybody.
sharing that with us.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye.
Have a
Thanks,
great
Rob.
day.
Thanks, Rob.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.